Hey, how's it going? This is Joe and Tell. Today I'm going to be unboxing the new turntable from Fluance, the RT82T. Let's go ahead and do it. As of right now, I am using an Audio-Technica LP120 that I've modified, and what I've done is I've taken out the preamp in there. Some people have said that the preamp isn't very good, so I've taken it out and I'm using an external preamp. Hopefully this is a step up from that. Fluance has come out with a new line of turntables, and there's a few variations, and from what I've seen, the main differences are the cartridges that they're using. So the higher up you go, the better the cartridge, as well as a different model where they're using a heavier platter. Go ahead and open this up. Go ahead and open that up. First thing I see here is the slip mat. There's a slip mat, rubber. Yep. The one that I currently have on my Audio-Technica is a felt slip mat, so I'm not DJing. I don't really need that. Some nice RCA cables. There's a power adapter, the ground wire, and there seems to be two of them. I don't know why they'd have two. This is the cover here. So there is the cover. What? Okay, let me do this then. Some white gloves. The finish on this is gloss, so let me go official Michael Jackson style. Did he wear white gloves? I don't know, it seems like he did. Okay, cool. An updated brochure from Fluance. They have subs too. I haven't tried out their subs yet. I'm going to try those out one day. Here we have the user manual. I will likely need that. I'm gonna go ahead and just... Man, this thing's pretty heavy. And on the bottom you'll see that it has 3 feet, rubber, and it looks to be adjustable. Very nice. I believe this is called a plinth. First time I've ever said that. What do we see here? Different speeds. Here's the Tonearm. And go ahead and take off. Alright, gloves are coming off. I can't do anything with these. Alright, bye gloves. And this Tonearm looks to be metal. Okay, so these are to hold the cover in place. We have the counterweight. This is the cartridge and the head shell. And this is using the Ortofon OM10. Alright, nice. So from what I understand, different cartridges give you different qualities of sound, and so we'll see how this one compares to the one that comes with my Audio-Technica and the other clip for the cover. Alright, let's read the instructions here. Let me show you some of this stuff real quick. Anti-skating, Fluance on the front, and on the back you have your audio output. Now this does not have a built-in preamp, so you're going to need a preamp with this. Auto stop, on and off, and then the DC input. Alright, looks like a band here. Alright, that's the belt. There you are. Motor pulley cap. Oh, I see. So there's a little notch here to let you know that it's locked into place. And then there's an arrow here. There it is. So that's not moving. It doesn't spin. Lift the rubber belt. Place it around motor pulley. Now, this is belt driven. The Audio-Technica that I have is direct drive. And so from my understanding, this is better for isolation. The fact that they're separate like this. Rotate the platter several times to ensure that the rubber belt is secured and not twisted. Okay. Alright. It's not twisted. Place the turntable mat on top of the platter. Make sure the logo side is face up. Okay, make sure the logo side is face up. Logo side. Ooh, I almost put it upside down. That's the logo. Slide the counterweight onto the end of the Tonearm with the numbers facing forward until it clicks on. Aha, there we go. Gotta hear that click. Step 3, installing the head shell. Tighten. There it is. Use the table below with the included bubble level to adjust the feet. Does this install anywhere, or does it just like you just sit it on top? Well, this table is not adjusted, but I will adjust it when I put it on the table over there where it's gonna go. Balancing the Tonearm. So remove the stylus protector. That's this. Protect the stylus from touching the platter. Do not allow the stylus to touch the platter. Man, this thing is nerve-wracking. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to balance this. Because the feet come to a point, it's really easy to turn it. Bring this in a little bit more. Okay, that looks about balanced. So now I'm supposed to zero this out. RT82 using the Super OM10. The tracking force should be at 1.5, and I should be putting the anti-skating also to 1.5. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this to 1.5. And anti-skating, it's already set to about 1.5 right there. Failure to connect both ground cables can result in unwanted noise or hum. Auto stop function. The auto stop function is designed to extend the life of your stylus. At the end of the record, the platter will automatically stop spinning if auto stop is enabled. Let me try it with on, just because it sounds like a cool feature. So that was a quick unboxing of the Fluance RT82. Shall we see how it works? Why not? All right, sorry about that. I thought it was on, but yeah, that was the unboxing of the Fluance RT82, and I compared it to my my Audio Technica over there, and I can say that it feels nicer overall. I think it looks a little bit nicer, and it sounds a little bit clearer and brighter, but I think that has more to do with the cartridge. I was using let's see, on the Audio Technica I have the AT95E, and I swapped them out with the Ortofon Super OM10 that comes with the Fluance, and it did also sound brighter, so I think it has more to do with the cartridge. But yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions, and I'm ready for you here. What's up, Michael Waters? All right, so yeah, in the meantime, I have my coffee. Happy New Year. Happy 2019. Let's make sure it's a good one. All right. I'm ready. What else do I have to say about that? Yeah, I don't know. I just like the way it looks. I think a lot of audio has to do with how the gear actually looks, because it takes a significant amount of space up in your, in your space here. So it has to look good. Questions? Any questions? Audio's okay? Yes. All right. What you got on vinyl? What's up, Kyle? So I don't have too much vinyl right now. I actually just bought a few just for the Audio Technica when I first bought that. So I have the Fuji's, the Score. What else do I have? I have Aquemini, that album by I'm blanking out right now. Shoot, Big Boy and I don't know why I don't know the name. Let's see, some Tribe Called Quest. You know, I kind of like hip hop sort of stuff, and then just some random stuff. Did you connect your subwoofer? If so, what amp did you use? Outcast. Thank you, Brian. I don't know why I didn't know that for a second. It's kind of weird. So Raphael says, did you connect your subwoofer? If so, what amp did you use? SVS sent their Prime wireless sound base, and first of all, that thing is pretty awesome. I'll get into that later on, but yes, I did connect the PB2000 to that. Sounds awesome. What else? Yeah, I need to get more vinyl for sure. Need to up my game. From my understanding, some of the older pressings are better. I think some of the new ones that I have here, I bought them from Fry's, and I don't know. I feel like they were like, I hear a lot of pops and crackles, like, even right out of the package. So I got a brush and all that to kind of clean it off, but it still has them. So I feel like it's just like a bad pressing. So I don't know. Maybe I'll try out some of the older records that I can ask my sister. She has some old records and stuff like that. So we'll see. Questions, come on, guys. Brian Matthews. Who else is in here? Kyle, how's it going? Mr. Mufu to you, how's it going? Lance is listening. How's it going? Raphael, how you doing? Brian Matthews says newer pressings are most of the time pressed from digital masters, and I believe that. I totally believe that. Yeah. But it's just weird that it has crackles, and I feel like I cleaned them pretty well. I don't know what else to do. But it's not like I mind. I think it kind of sounds kind of cool. What I don't like is on Fuji's they have the fake crackles on some of the tracks, so it's like double. So I hear it because of the actual vinyl itself, and then they're added, crackles on top of that. It's a little much. Alex City, how you doing? How's it going? Yeah, I want to try to get some of the older pressings. I'm not huge into vinyl. Just because I am a believer that, uncompressed digital files sound the most accurate. I think that's fair to say. Depending, of course, how it's mastered. But I think if you were to compare apples to apples, I think that you're going to find that the digital copy, as long as it's uncompressed, is going to be superior in accuracy. I'm not saying that it's going to sound better overall, because there are some characteristics to vinyl that sound nice to people. And I get it. Raphael says, you mentioned you have an Audio Technica. Is this record player better? All right, so let's talk about some of the differences. The Audio Technica LP120, which I have, looks kind of like an old Technics 1200, like those DJ turntables. So whether that's good or bad, I don't know. I kind of liked it at the time. I still do. I think it looks cool. Weight-wise, they feel about the same. I'm looking at it right now. I'm trying to think. I think that the cartridge on this turntable, on the Fluance, is better. What else? The Audio Technica comes with a felt slip mat, and some people say that's not as good. But I don't have any issues with the other one. The other one's direct drive also, and some people say that you can hear some noise from the motor. I can't tell. I don't hear anything like that. But the main thing about the Audio Technica is that it came with a preamp, so you could plug that directly into any amplifier, and it would work right away. They did have a switch on the back to bypass the preamp supposedly, but what people were finding is that it wasn't actually completely bypassing the preamp. It was still going through the circuitry and affecting the sound. And so what I did on mine is I modified it and actually took out the entire built-in preamp, and I use an external preamp now. And the the Fluance doesn't have a preamp at all. You need a preamp with a Fluance. So it was actually extra work to get the most out of the Audio-Technica. So I don't know. That could be a pro and a con, right? So if you just want to hook it up directly to an amplifier, Audio-Technica might be better. If you want the best possible sound and you plan on getting a preamp, and the preamps aren't too expensive. I think I've seen them starting at like 60 bucks, so you have to factor that in. But yeah, I think just two different demographics, right? So if you're a starter, you may want to get the Audio-Technica first. And I did have it hooked up to the Little Bear T7 preamp. And what I noticed is that thing, it's a tube preamp. And at first I liked it, but I noticed it does have a little bit more hum than when I connect it directly to my Marantz SR7013 amplifier. So I wasn't experiencing that when I was plugged in via the auxiliary via auxiliary on there, but I did notice when I have it hooked up with the phono input that I was noticing some hum on that thing. So yeah. What else? I'm missing some here. Alex City, how do you listen to your music? What audio formats? So I have Tidal, so if I'm listening to something and I want to have the best possible quality, I listen on Tidal. But I will say that I came out with a video of the YouTube Music service, and people were kind of complaining, like, how could you promote this crappy compressed music? And for me, if I'm listening and I'm doing some critical listening, I'm gonna probably just use Tidal. If I am listening in my car, I don't think I could tell the difference between Tidal and YouTube Music. If I'm in the shower, you know what I mean? So there's certain cases where I like YouTube Music just because of their algorithm. I can tell it to play one song, and it kind of knows what I've played before, and the recommendations are good. So that's one thing I like about that one. Excuse me if we have people coming in. But let's see what else. What do you have on cassette tapes? I actually used to have a pretty big collection of cassette tapes. But yeah, mixtapes too. I'd make my own tapes. So berry pine, float the stylus in a bit of distilled water, apply just in front of your cartridge, and okay, so you're saying to dip my stylus. Okay, it's kind of scary. Brian Matthews, I've noticed that some of the newer pressings are full of pops and crackles. I guess it depends on the pressing plants. I hate getting a new record and it's warped really bad. Brian Matthews, exactly. I mean, some of these records, they really are like a little bit warped. Like when I put it on the turntable, I'll notice it'll like, and it's brand new. So I think it just might be because, it's not the 70s. So maybe the best plants that are doing all these pressings, they're all gone, right? So there's probably a few places doing it, and maybe they're not as good. Maybe their standards aren't as high. All right, Alex City, do you listen to high-resolution music? Thoughts on high-res audio? I love high-res audio. Yeah, I'm all about it. Yeah, I'm a believer. Brian Matthews, I use a Technics direct drive and don't hear any motor noise. Yeah, me neither. Let's see here. Kyle Dykes, my old man listened to vinyl. The time when I was young, the pops, the crackles, the warmth are all nostalgic to me. I don't listen to vinyl a lot, but sometimes I like to sit back and get nostalgic. Yeah, it's a nice sound. It's not offensive to me. I don't hear people saying that they miss a tape hiss though, right? Remember when you press play on that, you hear tss, and then it had like Dolby noise reduction for the tape hiss. Nobody seems to want to hear that again. My era is more about like tapes, So I kind of, yeah. Records are a little bit old for me. Let's see here. Who else we got? Do Hun Lee, do you find a difference between 320 MP3 and FLAC? Maybe. I can tell the difference between, let's say, like some of the lower resolution MP3s, like 128. I can tell when the hi-hats hit, it sounds like all crackly. It doesn't sound realistic. But 320 is high enough where maybe I could tell if I was listening on some good headphones. Probably not on speakers, because speakers aren't as resolving as, you know, having a good pair of headphones on. But maybe I could tell. It's kind of weird because sometimes it kind of seems like I can feel a difference. But I've done some of those online tests where they play the two different tracks, and I was, I would say like 80% of the time I was right. So let's see, Raphael, can you use an amp to your turntable if it's preamp? Can you use an amp to your turntable if it's already preamp? I'm not sure exactly what your question is, but can you use an amp to your turntable if it's already preamp? If the amp has a built-in preamp, like some of these receivers have a phono input, which means that they have a built-in preamp, then of course, yeah, you can use it. If your turntable has a preamp built in, then you have to bypass it in that case. Yeah, if your turntable does not have a preamp, then you need an external preamp. What else? Kyle says you can't organize music worth a crap on YouTube music. I'm out on it. You can't organize music? You mean like rearrange it? Like, what do you mean? I feel like you can do a lot on YouTube music. I haven't had an issue. Can't you just like rearrange stuff when it's in a playlist? All right. Let me know. I purchased the Yamo S803 as a Christmas gift based upon your review. You did a good job. Thank you. Thank you. I also took advantage of the ELAC sale. All right, so you got both of them. This is Ron Burgundy. Which one do you like better, Ron? Let me know. So the Yamo S803s, I think I was pretty fair on that. There was a lot of hype behind it, so I kind of felt like I needed to make sure I was not overly hyped. You know what I mean? There was already hype behind it. I wanted to just make sure I was fair and just looking at it as if it was a brand new speaker that I've never heard of with no hype behind it. Yeah, so I think I try to be fair about it. What else? ELAC. Oh, all right. So, which ELACs did you get, Ron? Let me know. Let's see here. All right, guys, got to keep the questions coming a little bit faster. A little bit faster. Ask me anything. I don't care. Ask me about this sweater. My wife gave it to me for Christmas. And actually, I filmed that beginning part, I don't know, maybe a day or two ago. And I put this on again so it looked like as if I had just unboxed the Fluance, even though that was a few days ago and I had edited the entire video. Alright, so QA20 Sean says, what do you recommend all-in-one music player with CD player? All-in-one music player with CD player? What? I'm not sure that I know very many like all-in-one music players with CD players anymore. That's the problem. I'm sorry, Sean. I don't have anything for you on that one. What I would say is maybe get a nice amplifier or powered speakers and just get like a CD player. Okay, Ron said he got the ELAC UB5s. Yeah, I think those are definitely a step up from the Yamos. I mean, price-wise, they're also a step up, right? So if you got them on sale, you got them at $350 versus the Yamos were $199. So yeah, I think they should sound better. Yeah, it's just that some people were claiming that the UB5s, or they were claiming that the Yamo S803s were better than the UB5s, and I couldn't roll with that one. I don't agree with that. Brian Matthews' favorite brand of coffee. I don't know. I used to drink this stuff called Kicking Horse, and that was pretty good. Um, I'm not. I mean, whatever gets the job done. I'm not too picky actually. I do like a nice espresso though. So, at what age did you start getting into the audio world, speakers, etc.? Says Alex City. All right, Alex. I usually say 12 years old, but it could have been younger than that. It's just I don't really remember. So, I think around 12 years old, somewhere around there. Right. Andre Keller says, have you ever heard of Gaetan speakers from Germany? I have not. They only build coaxial speakers for both studio and home entertainment. That's awesome. I love coax. Many German radio stations have them in their studio. I own some ME25s. No, but they do sound pretty cool, and I would like to take a look at them. Why don't you link to it right here so we can all take a look at it? David says, just purchased the Fluance AI40 speakers. They are terrific. I'm glad you like them. Hope to purchase one of their new tables soon. Also have the RT81, which is a beauty. Yeah, they do look pretty cool, right? I'm glad you like your AI40s. And, yeah. I don't want to mention the AI60s. But hopefully those come out soon. Even if they do, I still like the AI40s. I'm sure the AI60s are going to be bigger. Kyle says, I mean more like if you're looking at Apple Music, it lists out all your band's albums, songs. Not so in YouTube Music. It's not something you can have a library in. I'm trying to think of what your Apple Music, it lists out all your band's albums, songs. I see what you're saying. So you're saying like if you've saved some music, you can organize it in different ways, like based on artists. Well, here's the thing, right? Google owns YouTube Music, and Google's all about search, right? And so their whole thing is, if you need to find it, just search for it. So I'm sure if you have a playlist that's named a certain thing, you can search for it, it'll pop up. And, that's basically it. So it's heavily based on search. And I remember back in my IT days, I would try to get people to switch from Outlook to Gmail. And the thing that they loved about Outlook is that they had like folders, right? So they'd like to put their emails in folders. And they're like, with Gmail, there's only like tags. Like you could tag stuff, where's my folders? And I'd tell them like, you don't really need folders anymore because you could search for whatever you wanted to. And, I understood that sometimes folders, having them in folders is actually easier. Sometimes it's hard to figure out what to search for, but I think that's Google's kind of their way of doing things. So I understand where you're coming from. Let's see here. I don't know how to say your name. Do. Same here, Joe. There's a point where it doesn't really matter what codec you are using. Personally, I can't tell the difference between 128 and 192. Okay. Talking about MP3s. Alex City says, at Sean, I think Denon has a CD player with streaming services such as Spotify and others. Check it out on Denon's website. I think you're right. I think I have seen something like that. Right. Brian Matthews. Kicking Horse is good. Thumbs up. All right. I have good taste. Thanks for the approval, Brian Matthews. All right. However, most of my music is FLAC and WAV files just because it makes me feel safe. Yeah. It just takes up more space, but luckily, hard drive space is cheap now. Like back when MP3s were popular, it's because hard drives weren't, as crazy as they are now, right? You can get a terabyte for like super cheap. So, yeah, I think times have changed. Let's see here. All right. Do Hun Lee said, do you notice anything using a balance source and output? I've always wondered because I have a tube amp that supports both balance and single-ended and plan on getting a balance DAC to complement it. So I'm not going to pretend to know about balance and unbalanced too much, but from what I know, balanced output, such as like an XLR, is good for long runs because typically what happens is if you're running a long cable, then there's more chance of getting interference somewhere in that cable. And when you have a balanced cable, balanced input or output, there's something that happens where it's able to look at the difference and cancel out any of the noise that's caused there. So somebody correct me if I'm wrong, or if you can explain it a little bit clearer than that. But I think it makes a bigger difference when you're doing longer runs. So you'll notice that a lot of pro audio, like PA systems, have XLRs, you know, for like musicians, they're always XLR and not like a typical 3.5 millimeter or RCA jack. Just because for longer runs, you're going to get less noise with the XLRs. I think for shorter runs, maybe it doesn't matter as much. All right. Andre Keller. I think the difference between SoundCloud streaming 128 kilobit and Spotify is huge. Yeah, I could understand that. Andre says, by the way, my link to the... Okay. All right. Oh, it didn't show the links. I think this chat is automatically... like this, it automatically disables links, which kind of sucks. Yeah. That's not my choice. I think it's one of the settings here. Maybe next time I'll try to change that up. What else you guys got for me? Anything? Anything? All right, Vino, ELAC EA 101 EQG compared to the SVS Prime wireless sound base. You're very persistent, and you do not forget, Vino. Awesome. Yeah, so I would have to say that this SVS is pretty impressive. They have two very different approaches. The SVS, the thing that's really impressive about that is the power. I mean, it's rated at 150 watts per channel. I wouldn't doubt that. It seems like it's putting out a lot of power. That with the fact that it has, you know, support for Wi-Fi and Ethernet and Tidal. I think that the ELAC one can do that also. But the ELAC, I think, is rated for 80 watts per channel. So, yeah, I think I can tell the difference between that, between those two. Especially when it's kind of funny when I'm running these ELAC UB5s, because those are 4 ohms and they're power hungry, and so I feel like the SVS can push them better. They both have sub output. I think the one advantage, or I guess the advantages of the ELAC are let's see. It has some kind of like, it has like a room EQ, and it has a built-in crossover. So if you're using some speakers that can't handle 80 hertz and below, then you may want to get the ELAC because it does have that built-in crossover. So if you're going to use a sub, you can have a sub. You're going to take over anything 80 hertz and below, and then your speakers won't have a hard time because they'll only be playing, you know, stuff from 80 hertz and above. The SVS, I haven't seen that. There's no feature like that on there. It doesn't even have a remote, actually. So that's one thing. I kind of like having a physical remote instead of using my phone all the time. Hopefully that answers that. Audrey says, no worries, okay. Do you believe in crazy expensive cables? Man, that's a hot topic right now. Nordos, I just see them as jewelry. I know the difference in cable is certainly mathematical, but probably not perceptible. You know what? I'm glad you brought this up, actually. I don't know if you saw my video about, audio cables, and, I've addressed this numerous times. The thumbnail on it is me wearing cables, you know what I mean? Like jewelry, because that's exactly what I said is, I think it's like jewelry, up to a certain point, you're paying because, they look nice or whatever for the name, but performance-wise, I don't see them outperforming something that's, similar in gauge. But yeah, that's definitely a hot topic right now. I forgot who it was. What's the guy's name? He just challenged Paul McGowan from PS Audio, to an online debate. Man, I should know this guy's name. But yeah, let me see here. Let me see if I could find him. If somebody knows, put it in the chat. Let's see here. But yeah, that's a kind of a hot topic right now. What's that guy's name? He came out with a Null Tester. Anyway, yeah, this guy came out with a Null Tester. Basically, it's a box that takes two audio sources and it flips one, right, so that the phase is inverted. And typically what happens is when you're playing something with a normal phase and something with a phase inverted, if you sum those two, nothing should happen, right? Nothing should come out the other end unless there's a difference. And so that's something that this guy made, and he tested out a bunch of cables, and he found out that, yeah, that there wasn't any audible difference. So Andre says, did you ever mix for live shows? What do you think about the CL5 for Yamaha for a live FOH? Don't know what that means. And maybe in comparison to analog. Yeah, obviously, because I don't know what that means, I do not have that much experience for live TV shows. I've done some live streams like what we're doing right now. But the Yamaha CL5, not sure. Sorry, I don't have an answer for that one. All right. Ron Burgundy says, how are the SVS Prime bookshelf speakers? All right, so front of house. Yeah, I don't know about that, Andre. Sorry. All right. Ron, I will get to the SVS Prime bookshelf speakers in the next segment. So maybe in about, let's say, like 10 minutes. All right. Alex City says, have you tried Dolby Atmos? Thoughts on it with a big smiley face. Why? I feel like you're like, you know, like you're setting me up here. Dolby Atmos, yeah. I have Dolby Atmos at my house, and I think it's awesome. But you said Dolby Atmos. I don't know about Dolby Atmos. I know about Dolby Atmos. But yeah, it's cool. I like, you know, hardly anything is in Atmos that I usually play from my system. I guess NVIDIA Shield now has 5.1, not Atmos support. So yeah, there's not a ton of content that I listen to that's in Atmos, but when there is, I like the fact that sound is coming from my ceiling. I don't have the up-firing ones. I actually have speakers mounted on the ceiling. So yeah, I like Atmos. Well, no. Yeah, I just saw a big smile after your question, so I was like, I wasn't sure. All right, so let's see here. Is that all your questions? Any other questions? You guys have seen my leaderboard, right? So if you need any recommendations on speakers, just check out my leaderboard. What else? Yeah, that's it. I'm gonna just go into the SVS stuff that I unboxed last time. SVS update. All right, so last time SVS sent me 3 things. They sent me the SVS Prime Wireless Sound Base, which is an amplifier, the one that I just talked about, 150 watts per channel, so 300 watts total. You know, it's made for wireless streaming. So yeah, so basically it has Ethernet, has Wi-Fi, has Bluetooth, has RCA inputs, optical, all kinds of stuff. And I think it's really cool. Like I like the direction that they're going with it. I do wish that it had a remote, but I am impressed with the sound quality. I'm impressed with the power. I like the way it looks. Yeah, I just wish it had a remote. Yeah, a few other things. I feel like for a 2-channel system, I think it could easily replace, you know, like an amplifier, like a receiver, right? It can easily replace that. Has subwoofer output. I do wish that it had a built-in crossover, but I think it's really designed for their lineup. You know, so SVS has bookshelf speakers, has tower speakers, and of course they're known for their subs. And this thing works perfectly with their stuff. So, well, let's see. Andre, thanks for streaming. I tuned in pretty late, but it was fun. Thank you. Best 4-ohm amp under $1,000. I don't know, Brett. I don't know about that one. Best 4-ohm amp under $1,000. Here's the thing: I haven't reviewed a ton of amps that are even close to $1,000 price range, so I don't think it would be good for me to say, because there's probably some amp that's $999 that's the best $999 amp, and I don't know which one that is. Ron says, any more collaborative videos coming up with like the one with Techno Dad? Yeah, hopefully. Wristwatch check. Yeah, hopefully. I think I have something coming up with. Yeah, I have a few things coming up, hopefully in the near future. What else? Oh, so I wanted to talk about the SVS Prime wireless. No. SVS Prime bookshelf. And so here's the deal. They look awesome, and they have a aluminum dome tweeter. And I didn't know whether I would like that or not. I've had some speakers with aluminum dome tweeters, and they kind of sound a little harsh to me. But after hearing these, I'm kind of a fan of those. I've always had, most of my other speakers have a silk dome tweeter or some kind of fabric, not metal, right? And I feel like the metal dome tweeter does a better job of not necessarily producing the highs, but projecting the highs. So I felt like the sound stage and the center image, the phantom image in the center, it sounded clearer to me, right? So that's one thing that's the exact opposite of the UB5s, actually. The UB5s have rolled off highs, and these are, I wouldn't say that they're necessarily tilted up from my ears, from what my ears are telling me, but maybe the measurements are different. But I feel like it's just that they're projecting the sound in a clearer way. I don't know if that makes sense. Thoughts on Zeos? I just commented on one of his comments. Him and this other guy, Clavinet. I don't know how to say his name. Clavinet Junkie, something like that. That guy does a lot of Bluetooth reviews, and I guess he's just recently started doing headphone reviews. And people were commenting that they didn't like his recordings or something like that. And but yeah, I'm a fan of both. I've watched both, and both reviewers have gotten me to purchase things before. Zeos has gotten me to purchase like some MB42Xs back in the day, and the other guy convinced me to try out some Riva Turbo Bluetooth speakers. So yeah, Zeos, no problem with Zeos. He's got the head cam thing going on. If I saw him at a trade show, I'll probably say what's up, except I don't know what he really looks like. So I'll probably look for the guy with the GoPro on his head and say what's up to him. All right. Oh yeah. So anyway, back to the speakers. I do like the speakers. I'm a fan of the aluminum dome tweeters. That's what the Kefs have, right? And a lot of people say that they're really good at resolving details. And now I understand what they're saying. It doesn't sound fatiguing. It's not like speakers where the treble is tilted up. It's more just that, I don't know. There's a certain quality to the highs. I don't know how to explain it. I feel like they just sound more crisp, right? So yeah, what I would like to see actually is I would like to see like an updated version of the UB5s, right? With an aluminum dome tweeter. I think that would sound awesome. So, what else? And then, of course, last for this SVS is the SB. I always get them mixed up. PB is for ported, SB is for sealed. The SB 2000 sub, that thing is crazy. It's not even huge. Like, it's the same size as some of these other subs. I have a sub from ELAC. I have some Mica subs. The 12-inch sub from Mica is even larger. Yeah, I think it's larger as far as the box. And this thing is just like, it hits 20 hertz. You know what I mean? That's all I really want. Actually, I want it to hit below 20 hertz. But if it hits 20 hertz, I'm happy with a sub. If our human hearing is from 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, I want a sub that can hit down to 20 hertz at least, right? Because what's the point of getting a sub that hits to 30 hertz? You know, my ELAC UB5s, I've measured them down to 40. So even lower than that, 35. So you're going to pay extra and have this huge box just to get, 5 hertz lower? I needed to go down to 20 hertz. And SVS, definitely, I mean, this is the sealed version, so it doesn't go as low as some of their ported ones or some of their bigger subs. But man, I think I just want like some bigger SVS subs. They kind of got me curious about what their other ones can do. Yeah, there's something about it shaking the walls. It's completely not audiophile like, but awesome. It's just awesome. Let's see here. Kyle says, does the UB40 sound good on the UB5s? UB40? Hold on. What do you mean UB40? All these numbers are confusing me now. Does UB40 sound good on the UB5? I don't know what that means. How low can a sub go? 1 hertz, I guess, right? Theoretically. But yeah, I want to test some subs from Rhythmic also. I've seen some of these that are rated like 12 hertz or 14 hertz. I want to hear those. And I'm also curious about trying out some of those bass shakers. We'll see. Looking for anything special at CES next week. What am I looking for at CES? Nothing. You know what? Nothing audio related. I don't really expect a lot of new stuff to come out for audio. Just because, I don't know. There's not a ton of new stuff coming out for audio, right? Let's see here. The band UB40. I don't know. I don't listen to UB40. Thoughts on Bowers and Wilkins? A friend of mine uses them for monitoring in his studio. They sound pretty amazing. Yes. So Bowers and Wilkins, I've heard good number of their speakers. I've heard those 802Ds, those huge ones that are like 20 Gs or 30 Gs or something like that. I've heard those. They sound amazing, as they should. I've heard the 700 series and the 600 series. I've tried the 600 series here at my shop, and they were good. Yeah, they have a certain quality about them where they have a wide sound stage. I feel like the treble is tilted up a little bit, but still musical, meaning I don't mind listening to music on them. Yeah. I like Bowers and Wilkins. I think they look cool too. I want to try some of the new, what is it? I think the new 600 series uses their continuum cone, so the material for their cone that was exclusive only to the 700 and 800 series. Now they're using it in some of their lower models. So, yeah, I like Bowers and Wilkins. I like the way that they kind of they kind of disappear. You know what I mean? You don't pay attention to the speakers as much. I think that's one of the qualities about them, or part of their sound signature. And Patogo says, JL Audio Gotham. Yes, JL Audio. Please send me some of those. I am a huge fan of JL Audio. As you guys know, I had 3 10-inch JL Audio W6s in my car when I was in high school. And yeah, I loved them. The W6s were awesome. They sounded so good. I love those. How are we doing on time? Got a little bit more time, and then it's time to end this. So, any other questions? Anything else? JL Audio Gotham. I've heard a lot of good things about the rel subs too for music. A lot of audiophiles seem to approve of rel subs. Anything else? What was your first record player? And what records did I play? Well, I mean, when I was younger, I remember playing records on an old record player my parents had, which I believe was like, I don't know, I want to say like a JVC, and like I remember listening to an old Frank Sinatra record. I was playing The Way You Look Tonight. Yeah. I don't remember what album that was, but that's one of the first things I remember playing. Put it on there, had some headphones, and I was kind of just amazed that I could hear things. And this is when I was like maybe 7 years old. So that wasn't mine though. My first record player was a Crosley. I'm just playing. I just wanted to say that. Never had a Crosley. I think the first one that I've owned was this Audio Technica, the LP120. And that day I went out and just bought a few records, Outkast, Fugees, whatever they had at Fry's, which is where I got this. So, yeah. No Crosley, by the way. Never had one. Anything else? Anything else? Is that it? Alright, guys. Well, it seems a little bit slow in the chat today, but, you know, you guys can always reach me. You know, just comment on one of my videos. I do my best to answer all of them. What else? Follow me on Patreon, patreon.com/JoeAndTell. And, you know, consider becoming a Patreon on there. I have a podcast where I talk about all kinds of different stuff. They kind of get a sneak peek and like early info about the things I'm going to be reviewing, and, you know, get some extras there. And, yeah. Brett Carpenter says, my brother owns SVS PB16 Ultra. This thing is a complete monster. I want one. And Patogo says, wow, so quiet. Yeah, I know. It's a little bit quiet in here tonight. Well, it's Friday. It's understandable. What's for dinner? That's a good question. It's my wife and I. It's our anniversary today, so we're about to go get some dinner. I don't know. I like Olive Garden. Cool with Olive Garden. And I have a gift card. And Patogo, how's the SR8012 review coming? So it's actually, I have the 7013, and what I need to do is I need to take that thing home and connect it to my Atmos setup. I've just been like putting it off a little bit because I have my Denon X4100 set up perfectly. Like I have all these like presets. I have everything set up perfectly, and it took so long to do it. But I do need to do it. The other thing that I'm worried about is that I'm going to love it so much, and then I'm going to have to send this thing back, and I'm going to feel bad about going back to my Denon. So, you're right. I just have to do it. I'm going to do it. I have to do it. I do have it connected, though, so I'm able to play 2-channel audio. But I think, to be fair, I need to have it set up with Dolby Atmos and see what it's like on a day-to-day basis. Do you know about Harbeth? Of course. Harbeth, a friend of mine, has a pair, and they sound great. Yeah, I'd love to listen to a pair. I know that their whole philosophy is that it should sound realistic for voices. And, yeah, they have a whole philosophy built based on the fact that they are supposed to sound realistic for voices. And I think they do a good job of that based on what I hear from reviews, and I would love to hear some. My IG, says Raphael, my IG is at @JoeAndTell. Simple. Let's see. Brian Sellers, what floor standing speakers would you recommend that would work with an 8 ohm, 80 watt per channel AVR under $1,000? Floor standing speakers. Well, my favorite floor standing speakers right now are, I mean, these are inexpensive, so, you know, if you spend more, of course, you know, you can usually get better speakers if you spend more. But for the price, I reviewed the Wharfdale Crystal 4.3 towers, and I thought they sounded awesome, and they were on sale for $400 a pair. And so I think those sounded awesome. I mean, for your budget, depends on what your budget is, but I have like these Pioneer towers that I like that are, sometimes they go on sale for $120 for a pair, and I laugh every time I listen to them because they're so inexpensive. But normal price on them is somewhere around like $200. Congrats on the anniversary. Thank you. Why are you streaming on your anniversary? I don't know, because I need to have content for YouTube. I need to get that YouTube money so that I can treat us out to Olive Garden. Shucks, yes, I love my Marantz as well. Good 4K movies. Yes. All right. Boom, boom, boom. I think that's it. Any other questions before I go? I have 5 more minutes if you guys want to hang around. And then I'm gonna go out and eat some Olive Garden. Anything else? I did notice that I have this YouTube set on the streaming setting. They have like different speeds, like for how quickly it responds. So there is a little bit more latency on this one compared to other ones. But supposedly when I have it set to this, there's less buffering. But I think I like the other one better because I feel like there's a little more latency. So when you say something, it takes like a few more seconds for me to actually see it and then respond. So let's see here. Thank you. Okay, so Chris Hanlon, first time I've seen you. How's it going? Do you believe in separates that if they offer advantages over high-end receivers? Do they offer advantages? I wouldn't say I'm a believer that they offer advantages in the way that a lot of times that they say there's an advantage, right? So a lot of times people think that there's going to be less noise, less interference between the two components. I mean, eventually you're going to have to connect the two, so that's not the position that I have. What I do believe is if you're buying it separately, a lot of times you have higher quality components in each one. And the thing is that you're probably paying more for the separates, right? So in order to compare the two, you'd have to say, how much would a receiver with the same functionality as this separate preamp and power amplifier, you know, if they're matched as far as price and features, you know, I think they're going to sound similar, right? But a lot of times what we're talking about is an amp that maybe costs $1,000 and separates that cost $2,000. So obviously the separates should sound better in that case. So it's hard to compare those two. Let's see what else here. Why don't I plug my shop? I don't plug my shop because this is a vape shop and it's not related at all to audio or the stuff that I talk about here. So that's why. And if anybody's not 21, it's not really appropriate for them. But if I end up opening up a hi-fi shop, I definitely will plug that. So who knows? You never know. If I were to open up an affordable hi-fi shop, I think that would be kind of cool. I'll definitely plug that one. All right. Henry says, congrats and keep up the great job, bro. Thank you very much. Thank you. Andre, just wanted to thank you for all the reviews and content you bring us on YouTube. Keep it up. Thank you. I appreciate that. And Patogo, I know how to say your name. Thanks for all the work. Thank you. And bring an audio to your shop and play some tunes. Yes, I mean, I definitely have audio stuff here at my shop. I have a little area cut out for testing audio stuff. Yeah. Corky, how's it going? I think I've seen you comment recently on one of my videos. Welcome to the live chat. First time. Yep. Any other questions? I got 2 minutes. 2 minutes and it's Olive Garden time. Anything else? Coffee's done. All right. Anything else? All right. Thank you for all you do, and eat some breadsticks for me. Will do. Enjoy your date night with the wifey. Will do. I appreciate you guys. You know, what can I say? I'm very happy, with the subscribers that I have. Everybody that subscribes is pretty much, everybody's pretty cool. So I always like seeing you guys in the comments. So yeah, always try to comment. Follow me on social media at Joe and Tell. Ask me questions. I love it. So yeah, if there's no feedback, then it's not very exciting to me. It's kind of like just talking into this camera. But knowing that you guys are on the other end is the reason why I do this. I appreciate you guys. And Olive Garden time. All right, guys. I'll talk to you guys later.